Hola, bienvenido a la mesa de los niños chidos. I'm just kidding. Welcome to the Cool Kids table. So on today's episode, my guest is Izzy. Izzy was the first person to not have any issues with being number one on the recordings. So by default, he's guest number one. The first 4 or 5 people all said it was too much pressure being the first one. So Izzy was the first one to not have anything to say about it. So he's number one. That being said, like the first 10 episodes will be out of order. It's a standalone podcast, so it doesn't really matter which episode you listen to, but just, I don't think anything will be said that you have to go back and listen to in case you miss one of them. But after number 10, all of them will be in order as they get recorded, but just want to make sure everybody knows. This was a really fun episode. We talked about vaccinations, global warming, politics. So, man, I really hope you enjoy it. Hello and welcome. My guest today is Izzy. Izzy, welcome to the table.
Have you practiced that? Have you recorded intros yet? Because that was really good, man.
Oh, thank you. I thought you were going somewhere else with it.
It wasn't good at all.
Fuck you.
It wasn't.
No, I haven't really started anything like that, but it's something I'm going to do.
So you're skipping that step.
Yeah, getting to the important stuff first, and then we're going to go backtrack and do the hard work. This is the fun part. The hard work is setting everything up.
Yeah.
And just so you know, we're live.
Sorry. Sorry, I was thinking of my 13th move. That's
okay. Yeah. So while we're recording, we're also playing chess, which Izzy's a big fan of, and I'm like, all right, I'm not that great, but we'll see how it goes. We'll be updating you guys as far as how we're doing.
No. I'm a big fan about talking about chess. I don't play it at all.
How does that work?
I just talk about it.
All right.
Talk about it. I pretend I'm good. It works to get in your head, but as far as winning, no success yet.
Oh, well, it's your move.
It is? Oh.
There we go. See, already in his head.
Yeah, sure, buddy. Look at there's my horse. Okay.
All right.
So I think we're getting too caught up on the chess game.
How are you doing today? Happy birthday. Just turned 30.
Man.
Midlife crisis, anything like that?
Not yet. No, I'm just trying to avoid all my responsibilities as a normal 30-year-old, but yeah, no, it was good, man. It's not weird at all being 30. Everything they talk about online.
Right?
It's just another year, man.
I was waiting for that to come up, and it never did. I just kind of 30. Yeah. I didn't even celebrate the 30th one. I had a beer at home, and that was it.
Yeah, I don't really celebrate birthdays anymore. People always ask me, what are you going to do for your birthday? You're going to go out drink, you're going to go out, dancing, whatever normal people do. I'd rather do stuff I like to do, like hang out at home.
That sounds fun.
And, yeah, man, didn't really do much. Went out to go eat. Yeah, no, just, no major celebration other than my family, Obviously, they wished me happy birthday, and other than that, nothing special.
That's good, man. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Is it good?
Yeah, because that's what's important.
Some people
think
that's
that sounds
kind of weird.
That sounds fun. That's more fun than going out and not remembering it.
Doing what you want to do does sound more fun. Yeah, that's usually how I go through life. If I don't want to do it, I'll try not to do it. Obviously, there's some stuff you have to do, and I do those. But most of the time, if I could get away with doing what I want to do, I'll do it. Not that complicated.
No, one of the reasons I wanted to have you on, not just because you're my compadre and one of my best friends, but because you have such a good mindset. You go about life in such a positive way, where I feel if people hear you speak, get to know you a little better, that could be very beneficial to them, because you have such a good aura around you. I'm not one of those hippie people like those gypsies, but being around you is comforting because you're so cool. You get me? You're chill. Yeah. You're chill. You're relaxed. When you run into people like that, it's very. I'm sure everybody knows the feeling. It's relaxing because you're like, he's just him. He's not trying to be cool. He's not trying to be whatever. Trying to be something he's not. He's just comfortable being himself. Yeah. And I felt like even before this, we had breakfast. We grabbed some coffee, and I was telling you, dude, this is nice. Just chit chatting is just comforting because there's no. Yeah, we might not even argue. We talk, but it's not even a debate. It's just you sharing your ideals, me sharing mine, and it's cool. It's nice.
Sometimes we argue, but it's probably just because we're bored and we want to get some.
Push each other's buttons. What I like to do with you is play the devil's advocate, because I know I've told you before why. It makes your argument better, and it makes my argument better because I'm defending the side that I oppose.
Yeah,
and that is one of the reasons why this whole podcast came to be. Me and you used to talk maybe once or twice a month back when I had my own place. You'd come over and have a couple of beers, and our talks would go on till 3. We would start like at 10, so it's not like we started early. Start at 10 p.m., have a couple beers, and be chit-chatting about the 9th wall, the 11th dimension at 3, 4 a.m.
Yeah, we definitely exchange rants and many times. Yeah, I mean, the reason why that works is because we don't have to be, we don't have to censor each other. Like, I had this conversation with this one friend because I don't call many people friends. I'm polite to them. Don't get me wrong. They're acquaintances and all that, and I don't treat them I do treat them different from my friends, because around my real friends, I don't have to filter myself. So I got into this like deep back and forth where we're trying to convince each other of opposite points, and obviously this person is my friend, and I use very explicit language. It wasn't like "fuck you, motherfucker," it wasn't shit like that. I basically called the person ignorant, and the people in the room that we were all hanging out. It wasn't like a intense atmosphere either. I just used the word ignorant, and some of the people were like taken aback, like, "Oh my god!" And I had to go and explain, like, "No, guys, I'm not attacking you. I'm using the word as it means. It just means you don't have all the information. You don't know." And I don't know many things, too. I'm ignorant to many subjects. But the simple fact that I use a word, I had to go and say, "Hey, guys, I understand that if I'm having a conversation with somebody I don't know who's not really a friend, of course, I'm going to word it differently. Like, it's part of being polite, around other people." So it's funny because, like, around my family and close ones, I talk a different way, a less censored way. I say the same things. I stand for the same things. I just I don't have to put more energy into structuring the way I say things. I could just say it, because
they're not going to they're not easily offended,
because that filter's
and they
not
know the
there.
way you
We're
are.
comfortable around each other, and sometimes when there's outsiders, I'll call them outsiders because they're not part of the group, come in and they see the way we're talking to each other. Some of them get taken back. They're like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you guys call each other friends." I'm like, "Fuck yeah!"
That's what makes friendship stronger.
If I'm not insulting you or talking to you harshly, then you're not really my friend, And if you get insulted, then you don't understand our relationship, because my best friends I could say anything to.
You just called me a fucking idiot right before we got here. Like, sell your fucking car, you fucking idiot.
Yeah.
And I didn't take any offense to that.
Did you not feel loved?
Yeah, no. I was like, he's looking out for what's best for me. Because we were talking something completely different. But I completely understand what you're saying. Because I explained to you why I haven't, or why I'm doing what I'm doing. Yeah. But you understood me. You said, "Oh, fuck."
Oh, that's right.
I'm sorry for jumping to that conclusion. I said, no, it's chaos, but it's a structured chaos.
Yeah.
And it's, so I feel like there's... Not that you're a different person, not say you personally, myself or whatever, but this is not the way I speak at work. Why? Because I got to be professional. I can't just show up and be like, "Hey, what's up, motherfuckers?"
Yeah.
It's in the same sense that I can't be like, "Oh, dude, you're a fucking idiot. You're looking at this the wrong way." And some people do take offense, and they're a little bit not sensitive in the sense of being like a crybaby or soft, but just like you can't talk to them like that, because to them it's like it not that it hurts their feelings, but they take it as disrespect.
Yeah.
Which is understandable because everybody's brought up different or whatever.
Uh-huh.
But when you're in our circle, like in our group, you kind of know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
And if you can give it, you can take it, because they're going to give it to you harder than you.
Yeah.
And it's part of the beauty.
Yeah. And it's not like we're insensitive to those people who can't take what we're giving. We obviously... If someone tells you, "Hey, man, that's kind of fucked up," don't say that. And I was like, "Okay, man, I'll respect that. I'll respect that.
Yeah.
Make once. You don't have to tell me twice, man.
Yeah.
If I cross the line with you and we haven't got to that point in our friendship or relationship, whatever it is, I'll retreat. I'll concede. I'll be like, okay, man, we're not there yet. It's cool. You know, I'll try a different approach. So, yeah, man.
No, it's funny just because, you know, the whole... I mean, it's dying down now, but, you know, for a while there, 2017, 2018, it was a whole snowflake thing. And I mean, some people listening will probably say that snowflakes. Yeah. And it's not at all. What we're saying is just the way some people communicate. Yeah. Other people just strictly business, even on days off. Like, they are...
maybe that's how they're most comfortable, you know? Yeah, because I have witnessed, like, you know, there's different ways people talk who are from different parts of the world, different parts of even the same city. Not city, but like L.A., you know? L.A.'s so huge. So, you know, a person growing up in, I don't know, Sousa will talk differently than someone growing up in, I don't know, East L.A., you know? The
same words convey different messages.
Different words could convey, and the way you say it, people have... What I've noticed is that often people react to how people say things versus what they're saying, and that's something I'm trying to find a way to say things my way and still have people take me seriously. You know, like I don't want to have to change my whole vocabulary just because you're uncomfortable with the way I'm saying things. You know, so it's a slippery slope. You know, you got to toe the line, and you still have to essentially change a little bit, but you don't have to change everything about the way you speak. As long as what you're saying has truth and you can back it up, say it however way you want. You know?
Yeah, it's not about the messenger; it's about the message,
the substance.
Yeah,
the substance. And some people, not all of them, obviously, don't focus on the substance part. Especially when talking about politics.
Oh, this is going to be good. That's kind of what, you know, we've talked for hours and hours, online, in person, through text message. And one thing that I've seen, you know, not that you have like so many haters or anything like that, but that I see people attack you is like, okay, Izzy, you post and you post, but what are you doing about it? And I always tell them, like, your rebuttal is so good, and share that with them, please.
Yeah, well, that argument usually comes with, like, yeah, you're telling us all these issues, but what are you doing about it? As I have the time and energy to dedicate to these issues. I mean, honestly, I understand that myself, I can't do anything about it. The best thing that I could do is just spread information. Is that a cop-out? I don't know. I mean, I'm just a regular person. I work 40 hours a week, sometimes more. I have an hour drive. It will take a lot of energy for me to, I don't know, because I don't even know what they mean by that. What do they want me to do? They need me to be out there protesting
the streets
every single minute of my life that I'm not working? Like, I don't even know what they're asking. So all I say is, like, look, I'm not telling you to do anything. All I'm giving you is information. Do with it what you will, but all I can do, I probably could do more, but all I have the time and energy to do is give information, and that doesn't take much of your energy. It's your decision to look into it, read the article, or watch the video I post, or get into the conversation with me. That's up to you. I'm not forcing that on anybody. But if you do interact with me and I interact back, I'm not arguing with you. I'm having a conversation. We might have different information. We could both figure out which one's correct because, you know, we do have the internet. The internet works pretty well if you know how to use it. The problem is some people don't know how to use it. And it's clear because they're posting flat earth articles thinking it's like, you know, verified and true. And, you know, what can you do? Yeah, so that's really my rebuttal. All I'm doing is spreading information. You know, with information, you could change things. You know, the reason why the snowflakes, you know, getting back to snowflakes, the reason why people are getting so outraged is because they're finally getting real information. You know, but yeah, sometimes they overreact and they come off, what's the word, hyperbolic?
Yeah,
is that correct use for
I
that
think
word?
it is. I think it is. I might be mistaken, but I think it is.
Yeah, I'm not too smart with words.
You are. But no, to elaborate on your point, what we've spoken in the past, you say, this is a new city hall. This is a new city meeting.
Public square.
Public square. Because
dude, everybody's using it.
The social media. And I mean, cat videos, that's kind of done now. Now it's just kid pictures and like funny videos. Yeah. But at the same time, you can't take the 2 minutes to read this. And what I always tell you is like, keep doing it, dude. Keep doing it. Because some people I know, with 2-3 kids, 3-4 kids, 2 jobs, they work, you're talking about 40 hours. They work 60-80 hours. They go on Facebook for an hour. They don't have time to read the whole article. But they know that you're an informed person. And not saying they live and die by what you say, but they know when you're sharing, they're getting something of substance. They're getting something that's been researched. Maybe not by yourself, but you've looked into the researcher. You're not just posting the clickbaity articles. You're posting something.
I try not to. Have I ever been fooled?
Of course, we all have. We all have. Probably. Unless you're reading every single article word for word, and I'm probably guilty of it too. Like we spoke this morning. I told you I read every article I share because at the same time, some of these are essays, some essays, PDFs. I don't have time to read 67 pages of a medical file about a coroner that found marijuana and now he thinks that it's that's the reason of death. Like, no, I read the importance, the stuff I found important, and I shared it. Am I guilty for not reading all 67 pages? That's up to you to decide. No. But at the same time, back to the point, I encourage you to, I always tell you, dude, keep doing it, because even when you're not around, and I'm not saying like, oh, everybody's talking about it, but this guy knows what he's talking about. He has, obviously, me and you both kind of have the same morals, same ethics. We kind of lean left. Nothing wrong with that. But just kind of, we get along for many reasons, but that just, now that we're adults, now that we're in our 30s, that sounds weird, right? We kind of know, like, okay, man, we got to focus not just on ourselves, but our next generation, which I think is something that past generations have failed to do. And so that's why we look like snowflakes, because we're over here recycling. I was just telling you, dude, I recycle. People tell me, why do you recycle, dude? Like, you need money? Like, dude, for 2-3 bags of cans, you're making $20. It's not for the money. I personally do it for my daughter. She sees me cleaning up after myself, all this show. She wants to help. It makes her kind of like, I know right now she's too young. I'm not going to say, oh, she's saving the earth.
She's not fully going to understand why you're recycling.
But when she asks, like when people ask her, why do you recycle? My dad always did it. Mm-hmm. And so when she's old enough to ask me, Dad, why do we recycle? Because we were on this path. I'm talking in optimistic tone. Hopefully this changes. But, we were on this path to destroy the earth, and little by little, one person at a time, him teaching me, him teaching his friends, them teaching me. Some of them tell me, like, oh, you can't recycle that. And I'm like, what? I thought styrofoam was recyclable, because on the bottom it has a little recyclable sign. Like, oh, those are the old fucking cups. How the fuck am I supposed to know? I'm into this stuff and I don't know this shit. You get me? Like, these are things that we're all learning. It's a moving screen. The screen, what they're telling us to do right now, in 5 years they might say, okay, stop doing this, we need to do more of this. And you change with the times. And right now the times call for desperate measures.
So we're way past the point of individuals creating big change. I think at this point they're saying, we have 12 years to dramatically change the way we do things. And I'm talking about not individuals, but as globally and nationally. Drastic things have to change in 12 years, or else we're going to be on track to reach, 2 to 4 degrees Celsius. And supposedly if we reach 2 degrees, which is our best, according to scientists, they say reaching 2 degrees above, like it rises 2 degrees, that's our best bet now. Where 5 years ago, reaching 2 degrees was like, oh my God.
Worst case scenario.
Not worst case scenario.
No, because it could always be worse.
Like world changing, like we would have to change the way we live. Now that's become our best case scenario. We're already on track to reach these levels. So I don't think individual change is going to do it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying stop doing what you're doing, but we're way past that. We should when we're talking about global warming and all that, we have to be talking about politics, not about what we do every day. Don't get me wrong, it's important. Like I said, don't stop what you're doing. But the conversation should go into politics, because the corruption issue that we have in the United States does affect global warming. I mean, look what's happening. They reversed so many...
the EPA?
The EPA. They gutted the EPA. The head of the EPA used to be a...
oil...
yeah, right?
Yeah.
He was
I believe like a CEO...
or some, he was involved with
on the board or something.
Energy. Yeah, exactly. So... We're setting ourselves up for failure, and when people start talking about environmental changes, we got to start talking about politics. We got to start linking the two issues together, because at the core of every issue that we have, it all roots in corruption in Congress. You know, they're all bought off by their donors. Unfortunately, we legalize bribery in this country. It's not my opinion. It's a fact. They believe there was a bill called Citizens United, which it didn't create the corruption problem. It just made it that much worse. Bill Clinton, he got rid of some regulations that had to do with banking. Now this is kind of off topic. It has to do with corruption, but.
Well, we could get into it later. Just let's reach back to what we're talking about, and then we'll go back to corruption.
So back to the
environment.
Yeah, so I just want to tie the two. You know, when you're talking about global warming and climate change, you got to link it with corruption, because until we solve the corruption issue, we're never going to get on track to a peaceful Earth.
Well, a fun thing to think about, and I'm being sarcastic, is by the year 2050, which is 31 years from now, which we should be alive if all goes well, around 61, 62. By the year 2050, we're projected to have more plastic in the oceans than fish. So that's in our lifetime. There will be more plastic. Can we stop it? Maybe not stop it, but can we slow it down? Can we do some things? Of course, the whole plastic...
Solutions.
Make biodegradable products. Maybe hemp will be more now that marijuana is coming into the picture. Now that it's profitable, there's definitely solutions, and there's definitely things that we haven't touched on yet that can be done, but we'll see. And it's
none of that could happen until we get rid of corruption, because then those industries are going to be hurt by all these changes. They're going to do everything they can to not have that happen, because it affects their bottom line. Think about Medicare for all. You think the insurance companies are going to allow Medicare for all? Hell no. They're going to get in every politician that they can, every pocket of every politician that they can, because that's how it works. There's a reason why certain industries get massive amounts of subsidies. They get tax breaks. Why do you think we got these Trump did those tax breaks? It wasn't for us. It wasn't for the working class and middle class, the poorest people of this country. It was by far. It was for the 1%, for corporations, for the wealthiest of this country.
Well, didn't GM just shut down their big warehouse just after
Hector, you don't understand, dude. Trickle down economics, man.
No. And
you got to give tax breaks, so you got to create jobs.
I hate to just speak in memes, but sometimes memes are the best thing, because every person that argues against socialism, against Medicare for all, are the same people that continue to bring up trickle-down economics, which has been proven time and time again to not work. If you give tax breaks to the rich, all they do is hoard their money and start new businesses. They don't pass it down to their employees. They don't spend it back in the community. They just find a way to hoard it and make more money for themselves, which has been proven this past calendar year.
Yeah, you know what I think I'm going to start doing? I'm going to start carrying like a meme notebook, like pictures of memes, because I feel like memes get straight to the point and make you think more than a nuanced
discussion
paragraph. Like it might. I feel like a meme will be, well, one, will make you laugh, two, will get straight to the point, and three, it'll be quick.
Yeah,
and they work. They'll make you think.
It's idiocracy.
Like instead of trying to
explain in detail,
fuck it, I'm gonna flash a meme at them. I'm gonna gambit their ass, just throw it at their face. Bam, check that out.
You should be that for Halloween.
Yeah, Meme Gambit.
Meme Gambit. But it's tough because, you know, I have a few older friends. I have a few friends like in their 40s, 50s. And one thing that I hear over and over again, which makes me not sad but disappointed, kind of like, I'm an optimist, but it kind of makes me a little, not bitter, but like, damn, is when you talk to...
Yeah, you're
and, you know, and pessimistic in this sense that they tell me, dude, it's always been like this. It'll always be like that. And I always tell them, like, why? Why does it have to be like that? It doesn't always have to be like that. It doesn't. Like, when we end it, we're going to end it. When will we end it? That's another story. That's a whole another topic.
Well,
but just...
Yeah, well, just to bring it back, it won't... You can't start the end without starting a conversation.
And that's why I say share your...
conversation without having information. So, yeah... I might not be an activist, or I might not be doing what other people think I'm supposed to be doing, but I'm sharing information. I'm not pretending to be anybody that I'm not. This is just interesting information to me, and it is something I like talking because I think it can affect all of our lives. It affects all of our lives, you know. So yeah, that's. I mean, just to bring it back, that's the reason why I post about politics. You know, I'm not trying to pretend I'm somebody that I'm not. I try to make that clear, but I just want to spread information.
And one thing, you know, we didn't waste it because, I mean, we could still talk about it. We still elaborate on it. But we even said we shouldn't meet up before we do a podcast just because we were having such a good conversation.
Those conversations were way better than what we just recorded.
Yeah. Because it's not that this isn't genuine, but it was fresh. I hadn't seen you in a good while, so we were catching up. But then I even said, don't ask me that. We'll talk about that on the podcast. And I asked you a question. I even said, hold on. Yeah, because, you know, it's just interesting. But what I was telling Izzy is... It's good to talk about stuff that you're informed. I post a lot of pictures of my baby on social media. I post a lot of stuff about craft beer.
You gotta stop that shit.
I post craft weed. Why? Because it's stuff that I enjoy, stuff that I find interesting. Baseball, football. So when I see Izzy talking about this, it's something he's interested in. And that's what I told him. I had a great line I wish I would have saved for here, but I told him, like, it's better to be hypercritical of something you love because it's actually something you know the ins and outs of. Not an expert. You don't have to be an expert.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I always tell Izzy, the people that question you so not religiously, so critically, like, why do you post this? Why are you doing this? Why are you saying that? They talk like they're the GM of their favorite sports team. Like, you follow them, you enjoy them. So do I. So I don't want to be a hypocrite. But at the same time is, how can you do all this, yet he can't share his story? Not saying that people bully him or nothing like that. I don't want to sound it like that either. But
I don't put that much thought into it.
No. But just, I have, just because, you know, you're not the only person. We were talking about it. I have like 3 or 4 friends, and I see it all the time. Like, oh, man, stop being a keyboard warrior. I don't think anybody's called you that. I don't think I've seen it. But they tell some of my other friends, like, stop being a keyboard warrior. Do something about it.
Yeah,
and I'm like, what? Like, what is... He's not insulting anybody. A keyboard warrior is somebody that's like, hey, meet me in real life. I'll fight you. Like, dude, you're just tough behind the internet. But this guy's sharing information, sharing facts, sometimes blended with opinion, and sometimes just strictly opinion. And you see this hate from other people. And that's, you know, one of the people that gets it is Israel. That's why, you know, I said we'll bring that up just because I want to see how you, and like he said, he doesn't even think about it. I was like, I think about it more for you than you do. And he's like, yeah. And it's just crazy because, I mean, I guess I don't put a lot of thought into it, but it did, you know, when I saw a few things, I was like, that's crazy, dude. Keep doing you because, you know, for me, I work 50 to 60 hours a week. So when I get on Instagram, Facebook, I'm not there for a long time. I'll check my stuff, and I see a post by Izzy. I know, like, all right, let me see. It must be something worth sharing. You know, he's not just sharing every single thing that pops up. And that's something that I shared with him. I told him, like, the stuff I read, if I find it worth sharing, I'll share it. And I don't share something without reading it because I don't want to just a false narrative or something that they tell me, hey, dude, you agreed with this? And like, no, then why do you share it? And, you know, I'm like, I didn't realize I did.
You got to have some system of verification before you share something. I mean, you got to have a trusted source also, you know. You can't just blindly share any article that fits your narrative either, you know. If I share something, it's because they've been, one, I read it, or 2, I started reading it, but it's either information I already have, this just backs it up with verified
sources,
publishers. Yeah, sources. It's a source I trust that I can, I even share some sources that I don't agree with, that I can see they kind of have a skewed way of reporting things. But if they're sharing information, if they're reporting on with accurate information, I'll still share it. I'm not one of those people that says everything Fox News says is a lie, even though a lot of what Fox News says is a lie. I care more about the information. So
okay.
Yeah.
And just I wanted to do this real quick, just because I don't want to question Izzy's credibility, so I wanted to establish this. So we won't go into as much as we just did now about talking about how our sources and all that, just because I know some people, if you want to look into the sources, feel free. But I mean, one thing I wanted to establish with Izzy and myself, obviously, is that just set the groundwork, and so we don't have to keep repeating it, saying I'm not an expert, but I know this.
Experts.
Yeah, just to do that. But just so we can talk freely, because I feel like we kind of have to put that in the front, because otherwise people say they claim to be experts, they claim to know everything, they claim no, and that's not the case. So I wanted to do that, whatever we've been talking up to this point, kind of just to let you hear that we both we're aware we're not experts, we're aware we don't know everything. I'm open to new information.
Definitely.
I like being proved wrong, not on a grand scale, because then but I mean there's new information all the time. There's new studies that this is healthy, this is not. It's cool. Climate change isn't real. Prove it to me. I read it. Oh, this is bullshit.
Yeah,
you're lying. Okay, it was cold in California. Okay, that doesn't dispute the facts. One winter does not change everything. And I'll read those articles just to see what they're about. But I'm not going to change my mind off one silly article. But I am open to it changing my narrative. Okay, let me see if this is a trend.
You don't just blindly dismiss a counter argument.
Yeah, exactly.
You give them a chance.
Exactly.
You give them a chance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I tell Izzy, I wish I had more time, just so you can almost not read everything, but politics isn't my only interest, just like it's not yours. Yeah. I still read sport articles. I read about new breweries opening up. I read about this new cannabis. I read about ways to be a better dad. I work, just different things, better podcasting. There's only so much time to go around, so I try to set. But at the same time, if you keep up to pace with everything that's going on, you kind of have an idea. And that's one thing I always tell Izzy. I'll lose track for a week or two, and then I come back, and it's a whole new ball game. And I'm like, what happened?
Nowadays, man, the news cycle moves so fast where, something very important can happen today, and a week from later, another very important thing happens. So it's just like a never-ending cycle. I mean, and it seems like it's a deliberate strategy for Trump, and unfortunately it's kind of working. I think it's going to bite him in the ass at the end, but it's been working this far. It's been 2 years, so we'll see where it goes.
All right. Do you want to grab another round?
Yeah, let's get another beer.
Go for it. I'll continue talking. Grab me. It's on my tab. Just start. I have your card, so you can't start it. Just put it on my tab. Give me the same thing. This is really good.
What is it?
It's sour, American sour that they have on there.
Sour? That does not taste like a sour.
It tastes really good, right? We're at just to give them a shout out.
The same one?
No. You drank.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I told you to try this.
Tricked me.
No, I told you to try this.
Fucking hate sours.
Okay, I love this one. We're at Angry Horse Brewing in Montebello. They gave us okay to record in here. Lovely place, little small, but they have great beer. This is my second time being here.
I wouldn't use the word lovely. Industrial, well kept, lovely. Where are you coming up with these words, Hector?
It's nice. It's nice.
You use lovely. No, I guess. It doesn't do this place justice. Lovely does not do this place justice.
Same thing, por favor. The same sour.
Something sour?
No, it's the same one. Whatever that is. Okay. All right. So for the listeners, all right, he just walked away. I was going to have him on the podcast regardless. But so we set it up. Izzy, when you hear this, I hope you're surprised. Your fiance is throwing you a surprise birthday party, and so they're all setting up right now. And so I was the distraction, so that's why I used the podcast. I mean, you were going to be on regardless. I had already asked you. But when she asked me to be the distraction, I was like, perfect. I'll ask him to record. And I took Izzy on this detour. We went to Progress Brewing, which I love too, in South Omani, and they don't open till 3 on Saturdays. But we were there for like an hour waiting in the parking lot. I was telling, dude, they should open any minute now. Just because I didn't know how to keep them busy, because we had already talked for a few hours. And since we were doing the podcast, I didn't want to run out of subjects, because we kind of did. There's some few things that we won't talk about just because we went so into detail in those 3-4 hours that we kind of, we'll talk about it maybe in the future, just when it's not so fresh in our minds. Because I know what he's going to say, and he knows what I'm going to say. But so I took him to Progress, and they don't open till 3. So then I had to let's go somewhere else. And I already had this place in mind, and I'm glad they let us do it. But yeah, so I hope it all works out. Thank you. That was fast.
Yeah, there's no line. What does that tell you?
Well, dude, we're drinking during the day. We're day drinking. That's the nice part about being an adult. And just fuck it, dude. I feel like having a beer. Let's go have a beer. And it's fucking.
Yeah. Drinking's cool sometimes.
Well, yeah. You know what I'm saying. Let's go golfing. Let's do this. Oh, dude, when's the last time you went golfing?
Right. Well, a better question would be, when's the last time I thought about golfing? That was probably like 3 years ago.
Oh, dude.
When I thought about it. I haven't been golfing in a while, man. But then again, I like being happy.
You don't.
Golfing just
yeah, you're pretty bad.
Man.
You're pretty bad. So
it sucks because when I first went, I was pretty damn good. I kept up with these bozos, but after I started trying, when I was like, damn, I'm pretty good, right? What if I try? Maybe I could really
YouTube.
take these guys. So I started YouTubing techniques, and God, my game went to shit.
And no, man, that's one of the. They say one of the simple things is just keep. I love that saying, keep it simple, stupid. That's what I've been doing. Even with this podcast, that's why I said, fuck it, I'll just record everything and then I'll go back and do all the hard stuff. Because if I'm trying to be a perfect fucking podcaster, do this the right way, do this the way it's supposed to be done, dude, I'll never get an episode done. Just because there's so much to learn, so much to. I've been doing this for 2 weeks. I'm not
2-week veteran.
A 2-week veteran, and I mean, Izzy was impressed with my technique, and it's not very good, but it's effective. I'm sure it sounds great on the headphones in your car right now, so I hope you're enjoying this. But it's a work in progress. It's only going to get better, is what I tell myself.
Yeah.
And
where he's making the assumption that people are going to listen to this.
No, that's true. My mom's going to listen. She already promised. That's true. So I'm
going to listen to it.
See, because you're on it. Yeah. I might listen.
I'll probably stop at 10 minutes in.
Be like, that was me. I remember that talk.
Yeah. No, okay. Yeah. I was going to say something harsher.
Oh, cool. You feel free, dude. Like we said, no hurt feelings.
I'm just kidding.
No, but just the whole keeping it simple. Keep it basic. I think that's one thing. Effective, sometimes we try to make things more complex than they are, just because we're like everything is so tough, and instead of looking for we try to find a solution instead of letting it work itself out.
Yeah.
And I think that going forward,
I can't wait till you make mistakes though. That's gonna be my favorite part.
As far as what, like here?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I've made mistakes.
Mistakes are great.
I don't know. People will understand.
Because once you make that mistake, guess what? Now you know.
Okay, see, all right.
Something.
I'm gonna share a mistake I already made like fucking 2 days ago with this podcasting. So there's a list of SD cards that comes with the product that I'm using, so that it works better, but it accepts all SD cards. So I said, okay, I could buy the $60 SD card, or I could buy the $25 SD card. So I bought the $25 one because I said, and now it works, but it doesn't work in the sense that I have to buy a bunch of different products to connect it to my laptop. Where if I would just spend those $35, I could have just connected it straight from my digital recorder to my computer. So now I got to say this machine to a little adapter to a different cable to my laptop. That's going to cost me like $50.
Yeah, that's a pain.
And just for, it's a simple error. I found out how to fix it. My brother did, actually.
Yeah.
I was getting frustrated. It took me hours and hours. The SD card works and everything. The editing works and everything. But it can't get on the laptop because it's not compatible with this thing it's recording on. The audio files are there, which doesn't make sense, right? At least to me, a novice that doesn't know shit about anything.
Yeah.
It's there. I could play it. You heard it. I was letting Israel listen to it.
So you just can't get it onto your computer because your computer is in.
No, it's not about the computer. Any computer.
No, what is it? It's about the memory card.
It's about the memory card with this. So that's a big error, and it's already like fuck, man. And it is a little frustrating, but at the same time, I was like, this is a good challenge. Yeah. We overcame that challenge, and yet we're moving forward.
Exactly.
So I mean, I made that mistake. I made the mistake of what else? Of taking so long to start. Initially, I wanted to start. Well, I set out to start in January. And then it took forever.
March. Yeah.
We're in March because it's not as simple as I thought it was going to be, which is nice because I've had a month and a half to do a bunch of research, meet a bunch of cool people.
Yeah.
Got a lot of great advice from different people how to do it. Yeah. And so I think it'll be, I don't think, one thing we were talking about in the car, I don't know if it'll be successful because I don't know what success means. Mm-hmm. Is 10 listeners success? Is 50? Is 100? Is me having fun a success?
Well, one thing I can tell you, dude, is 10 listeners is not a success.
No, exactly, exactly.
I can tell you that much.
But
you can appreciate them. But
no, I'm very.
Yeah. No. Okay. So what are you trying to do then? Like, what's I mean, I don't want a definitive answer, but like, what are you aiming towards?
Okay. Well, if I could go off on a rant for a little bit, I've thought this out because it's something that's come up in some other podcasts, and I haven't had a great answer for it. So I've thought about it off of the podcast. And to be honest, this right here is one of the things why I wanted to do it. This right here, you're one of my best friends. You're my compadre. And before we were talking about maybe 2-3 times a month, right? You would come over, we'd have a couple beers. Even then, we just saw each other, said what's up. Then when I moved, I'm now about an hour and a half away from everybody. So I didn't say, oh, I miss these guys, which I do. But just kind of, how am I going to keep in touch with everybody, but yet still continue my life and be productive, not have to, It's a 3-hour trip. So how am I going to do this 3-hour trip and still, go to these barbecues, go all this. My social life has kind of dwindled, which I don't mind. I adapted. But at the same time, I said, I don't want to lose in touch with these people, people like George Hernandez, George Vargas, Pika, Izzy.
I saw George probably like a month ago. Same George.
Yeah,
and that's not a bad thing.
See, exactly.
No, it's George Vargas. Yeah. Can't wait till you have him on.
No, and
get your ass on here, George.
And so I said, how am I gonna Philip Sanchez? Me and Philip, we've been talking like once or twice a month, and that's my boy. And I've just lost touch with everybody, and I said that's not cool. I'm not dead, and I'm not like in another state. I should be hanging out with my friends. At the same time, there's some stuff going on behind the scenes, right? Like I have some business ventures opening up, so I just wanted,
as many people do,
of course. And so one thing I want to establish is we all have an agenda. Everybody has an agenda, whether it's good or bad or indifferent. We all have things we want to get done for a specific reason. So my agenda was, I don't want to work as much as I do. I've been working 40 to 60 hours. About 2 years ago, I was working about 70 to 80 hours a week.
Yeah.
And that's crazy, And people tell me, you must make a lot of money. Like, nope. If that were the case, I wouldn't be working so much. My daughter's getting older. 2-3 years, she's going to be starting school. Where I was working at, I'd be in at 5-6 in the morning, getting off at 7-8 p.m.
No time.
By the time I get off work, I want to go home and sleep. I'm not saying I want to be the softball coach, the cheerleading coach, none of that. But I want to be there at her practices, her games.
Hector, cheerleader coach.
No.
Coach. Yeah.
Well, no. I meant to say a different sport. Soccer coach. Yeah. But I want to be around.
For it,
I do. I used to be a runner. And I want to make sure that I'm a part of it. So I said, okay, I got to set up a structure for 2-3 years from now where I can work from 8 a.m. to about noon, 2 o'clock, and have the rest of the evening off. And, it's going to be hard. I know it is. Nothing worth doing is easy. And I'm setting in all the groundwork now to reap the benefits 2-3 years from now.
There you go.
When my daughter's of age and I can take her, I want to cook dinner for her every night. I want her to eat healthy. Knowing what I know about food and processed foods and all this, I can't do anything about it for myself now. Going forward, I could. But up until now, I couldn't. But for her, she should have a better lifestyle. Because I am aware of it. My parents gave me their best. So I should give the best to my daughter.
Of course.
And also, I said, one of the best things that I have going for me is my network. My network is filled with amazing people. So I said, I should use that to my advantage. And I ran a few lists of different things I wanted to do. Some websites, some this, some that. And podcast was on the list. And I've been wanting to do a podcast since like 2010.
Nice.
My friend Hugo passed away. I don't know if you remember when I used to do my blogging, my sports blogging.
Yeah.
I wasn't very good, but he was very supportive. He was very like, hey, Hector, you got to tell him, man. You know how to way to connect with people. You can write well.
No, you weren't very good at being consistent.
Yeah.
You were good, man. You were good. I enjoyed your blogs. You just weren't good.
Yeah, I do once a month, then once every few months. And he would tell me, dude, there's a huge demographic. Podcasts were new. I had heard about them, but I wasn't really like on. And he's like, dude, people don't want to read. People want to listen. And he would tell me, like, dude, you should do. And I remember his idea. His idea, we were both LA Kings fans. I still am, rest in peace, Hugo. He told me hockey for Hispanics. It's a huge growing market. Hector's hockey for Hispanics. He goes, Triple H, dude. You might get sued by Triple H, the wrestler, but Triple H, Hector's hockey for Hispanics. And I thought about it, kind of wanted to do it, but at the same time, I was like, I don't really know anything about it. Don't want to do that type of thing.
Yeah.
And so it was always in my mind, I should do a fantasy sports one. I'm pretty good at fantasy sports. I know it's luck, I know it's skill, but I've always done well. People want to hear winners. That's something I'm good at. That's something I'm always winning. People want to. Maybe I could give some few pointers. Yeah. Kind of wanted to do it, kind of didn't. Then I wanted to do a craft beer one because I love drinking and I love talking about beer. So why not talk about beer while I'm drinking it? And I just kind of never got the timing right.
Yeah.
And then when this came about, when I'm out, a little further away, I said, what if I have a few people and we have a few beers? I don't know if you guys can hear in a few other episodes. We haven't talked about it. Here we have, because we're at a brewery. But we've been drinking while, because I want to make sure the guest is comfortable. Not get them drunk, but just, make sure they're not. It's a little tense being in front of a microphone. For a lot of people, it's their first time or their first time in a long time in front of a microphone. So you got to check how you sound. We do a little test before to make sure they're comfortable where the microphone is placed. And so going back to the network, myself, something I'm not ashamed to admit, I'm a wetback, an illegal immigrant. So, I've had a great job opportunities arise, and they just never happened because they tell me, dude, as soon as you get your social, I got you, my boy. You're going to work with me at the Longo. You're going to work with me at the BMW dealership. Yeah. You're going to sell houses with me. Like, bro, you're going to make 6 figures. And I told myself, like, why do I have to wait for a social that I may never get? I'm just going to, like, fuck it. I'm going to be successful in my eyes regardless.
Yeah.
So I said, I want to be set up for the day where I finally get a social. I don't need it. Not in the sense I don't need it, taxes, all that good stuff. That's all going to be taken care of. But I mean, like, I'm not going to depend on that ticket that may never come for a job, a career, whatever. So I said, this is going to open up doors because I know I'm a good bartender. I'm a great grower of weed.
Yeah.
I'm a great...
You understand the process.
I'm a great cook. I'm great with customers. I'm great at sales. I know all these things. But at the same time, these doors aren't open. So I said, you know what? Maybe on the off chance that somebody listens and says, I'll give this kid a shot. That's my agenda. I said, fuck it. Let's see what happens. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to start a craft beer podcast too. Oh. And so I was thinking I'm going to have a co-host and then I'm going to have occasional or third person, like yourself, like Ernie, somebody that maybe talk to a brewery like here, maybe talk to a head brewer here or something like that. But I reached out to Philip Sanchez, and I told him my idea. Hey, dude, would love to have you as a co-host. Me and you gel well. We talk real good. We have a lot of same interests. We're same age. We both got kids, so we're in the same mentality kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I don't want to give away too much, but he told me, Hector, that sounds good enough, but I have this project coming up. I'd love for you to be a part of it, and I'll introduce it, when the time's right. But I straight up, I said, fuck the craft beer shit. Let's do what you're doing, dude. Your idea is better. And he told me, dude, there's a place for you, and I want you to be a part of it. So that alone has already opened the door for me. You get me?
Yeah, there we go.
And so it's, like I said, it's part of my agenda. I don't think it's a negative agenda or anything like that, but I do have my best interests in mind. Not personally, but for my daughter. Yeah. I always tell people, it's good to be selfish. I'm selfish for her. Because when Hector's number one, she's number one. You get me? Exactly. I have to do what's best for me in order to be my best for her, which is something I've learned over the last 6 months. I've always been selfish. I've always been caring and all that, but sometimes you got to be not selfish as opposed to like, no, you can't do it. No. I mean, selfish as you got to say no to people that don't have the best interest for you.
Of course.
And going back to the question is, this door has been open, and this is barely my second week of recording. I haven't even published yet, so by the time you hear this, I don't know how many more doors will open or how many windows might open, a smaller scale. And it's something, how many doors will I open up for my guests, for yourself,
Yeah,
for the next person that's on, for the person that was on before you. You get me? And it's just, I have the voice for it and the platform.
And you definitely have the face for podcasting. Seriously,
I think
that's your number one quality.
That's what I have going for me, dude. So why not made for TV?
No, podcast specifically.
And that's why we didn't record today. We were going to do video, but we just weren't ready.
Yeah, it's okay. Just when you post it up, just put like a picture of me and the recording. That's cool. I mean, you want people to be able to stay on the page.
Of course.
Just like,
But so that's
right.
That's because people have asked me, and I've had an answer for them. Like I want to do this, but you have to be real with yourself. And I was real with myself, and I said, I'm going to do it because this is what I want to accomplish, and this is going to help me accomplish this. And there's some other things I'm doing, like not ready to talk about yet, just because it's in the infancy stage. And when you get ahead of yourself, you look foolish talking about things that aren't done yet.
Yeah.
But it's all a work in progress, and I know this will help just because of the way it's set up.
No.
And I'm excited. I've been excited a lot, but something in a project like this where I know this is set up for the long haul.
Yeah.
This is not like a 6-month project or a 10-month project. This is set up for the long haul.
Yeah.
And it's something that I'm comfortable doing. I've done a few episodes. I haven't been in front of the camera yet, but it's not directly on it. It's just going to be set up in a way where.
How much time have we been talking? Just because I'm curious. I haven't been keeping track. Where are we at right now?
Us right now. Take a guess, and I'll tell you.
If I had to guess, what? 30 minutes?
50.
Shut the fuck up. There you go.
See how it just flows?
Right,
that's what I'm telling you. That's what I'm telling
you. Right.
I'm telling you.
I know, it's funny because every time Joe Rogan says, this place is like a time warp.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it.
Okay, I get it.
I even said once I have the Audible set, because I have it's a nice machine, right?
Yeah.
So I have it set up so I can see just, for the listener, that it's not too loud, that there's not too much background noise being picked up.
Yeah.
But as soon as I have it set up where I'm comfortable with everybody, I'm going to put tape over it so I don't know. Because occasionally, I don't want to look, dude, but it's like, when you're at work and you're like, dude, time is dragging. Don't look at the clock. And you look at like, only 10 minutes. That's what it feels like. Like, I'll look down and I'll be like, oh, shit. Like, when I looked down, it was 32 minutes. And so that was 19 minutes ago that I looked. And I was just like,
honestly,
time is flying.
We were going to go this long. I thought we were going to do like 15, 20 minutes, then we're going to choke, panic, and then...
No, dude. That's one thing. Honestly, not in a bad way, but this is practice for me, too. Yeah. Just because I've recorded a few episodes, and I'm sure people will notice, like, towards some of them, you'll be like, I'm a little stiff. And I've noticed it when I listen to them. I'm a little stiff just because this is my first go-around. But with you, it's just comfortable. I've known you we've known each other since I was 3 and Izzy was 2. We have pictures somewhere where, like, we're both in diapers walking around the hood. So there's comfort, It's just like, this is my brother right here.
That's like a song title, Diapers in the Hood.
And so, like I said, there's many reasons why I wanted to have you on, but I knew this was going to be good. And another thing, somebody told me, like, what if people don't listen? And I go, dude, then I can just go back and hear them.
Yeah.
Like, I can just go back and hear them. I recorded my daughter on this thing, and she's like, hi, papi. I love you, papi. And I'm like, that's all I need, dude. Awesome. Everything else from this point forward is just fucking cherries on top.
Give it 5 years, you're going to love that
recording.
Yeah. I guess
so that's why I'm doing this. I'm sure there will be more reasons pop up, maybe as some traction grows. And dude, I'm not going after celebrities. I'm going after people with a story, people with, like you said, with substance, with a voice. They need a platform. Yeah, right now I might get 20 listeners, but those 20 listeners, if they find this interesting, find it entertaining, they'll tell 2 people. You know how it works. And at the same time, those people that want to talk about it, dude, I'm all for it. I'm here to listen. Like I said, I've said it I think on every show. Like, this is not a fucking self-help podcast. But at the end, I'll ask you for words of advice just so you have it in your mind. Because everybody's told me, like, I wish you would have told me that sooner. Just True. Yeah. So I'm telling you now. So you got whatever time till the end. We're not finishing, but till whatever time at the end, just think some words of advice. Just because like I said, I'll say on everyone, I don't know what the theme is. I don't know what the direction is. I don't know what I'm aiming for. I don't know what I want out of this, like as a podcast. I know what I want out of it, but I don't know what the purpose is, what the reasoning behind.
Yeah, well, let's see where this goes.
Yeah. I mean, so
worst case scenario, you have good memories.
Dude, right? This is nice. This is the first time we've talked in person.
In person in a couple months.
Couple months, which is
months.
Too long, you know?
Yeah, a really long time, man.
It's fun.
Yeah. All right, man. Yeah, well.
All right, well, hold on. All right, now let's go back into, you were talking about Bill Clinton, and we kind of went back to the original topic at the time, but corruption. Let's go back into that, just because I know you know a lot about it.
Yes, I do know. I've looked into it. I mean, that's kind of it's not my hobby, but I do follow politics a lot. It does consume a good majority of my free time. I mean, granted, I don't have a lot of free time. And you know, part of talking about politics, you got to have some context to it and understand the history of politics. So, you know, when we're talking about corruption, I think when I was talking about Bill Clinton, I was in reference to corruption. The housing market, when it crashed in 2007, 2008, the reason for it was because of Bill Clinton. Often when you talk about corruption, you know, a lot of people like to point towards the Republicans because, you know, everybody says the Republicans are the bad guys and the Democrats are the good guys. Just because the Democrats are a little bit better on social issues than the Republicans does not make them the good guys. You know, Bill Clinton, he basically what he did was there's the set of regulations called Glass-Steagall that regulated these banks. And again, I'm not an expert. I'm probably not gonna be able to give the information justice, but basically what he did was he loosened the regulations that the banks had to screwing us. So what happened in 2007 was these banks were selling these loans, these bank loans that were set to fail. They're selling them to investors saying these are primo investment opportunities. If you buy off these loans, you're going to make a lot of money. The banks knew that these loans were given to people who were eventually going to go belly up, but they essentially forced these agencies that were in charge of rating loans, they forced them to give these bad loans good ratings so they could sell them for the most amount of money. They essentially committed fraud. And it went to the Senate knew, the Congress knew, and all that happened was, you know, I'm not sure if anybody got jailed. I think a few got jailed. Don't quote me on that. I'm looking into it. I'm not too sure, but I know for a fact the biggest consequence for them was like $1 billion fine. I don't know what the number was, but.
And just to interrupt you,
nothing.
They make $5 billion in profit in a quarter, so they make $20 billion a year. So they got a little slap on the wrist.
They knew what they were doing. They knew they were defrauding the American people, and then Congress let them get away with it, and it continues. And supposedly it's happening again, where people are they're up to the same tricks because, you know, they set a precedent. Nothing happened. Literally nothing happened. They just got a fine, but that's the cost of doing business. You know, the cost was they socialized, they privatized the profits, and they socialized the cost. You know, like all those families that were suckered into getting these loans, thinking like, oh my God, I could afford a house, not knowing 10 years down the line or 5 years down the line, their interest rate is going to shoot up where they can't pay it anymore, you know. So they defrauded the American people, and they got away with it. And you know, if history tells you anything, they're gonna get away with it again.
And just to elaborate on that, I hate saying this because we have to say it over and over, but I'm not an expert. but everything I've
We're
read,
not experts.
Everything that I'm seeing, they say it's happening again. We're doing that again as this day and age. It's happening again. Student loans is another bubble that's about to burst. Remember we talked about this like maybe 7-8 years ago, and I told you about one of the few people that was calling for the collapse of the economy at that time. I wish there was YouTube there was YouTube, but I wish there was like as big as it was now. Because I would subscribe to this guy because it was somebody that I found really interesting, and I wrote down his name on a paper or on a phone, on a fucking note or something, but it's long gone. Well, anyways, this guy was calling for it then, and he said like in about 10 to 15 years, this bubble of student loans is just gonna burst. Like it's bound to happen. Like there's too much money involved. These kids come out, they're not making enough money, which sucks. I'm on the kid side. You can't not just even pay for the education, but everything you learn, everything you know, how they can change the world, but they're not giving the resources to. You can only do so much with limited tools. If you gave them the right tools, all these kids, I'm not just talking about kids right now in college. I'm talking about the kids that graduate, people younger, 30, 35 and younger that are going through this, and it's just brutal seeing the schools get more money, more subsidies, yet they're charging more for tuition, charging more for books, more for fucking, what do they call it? Rooming? It's not rooming. Well, yeah, rooming. Let's call it rooming. Boarding. Yeah. And yet, another thing, fucking the student athletes, they get no money, yet the NCAA is a fucking multi-billion-dollar industry. Scam, man. And
dude, the college football is essentially the minor leagues for the NFL.
And they don't get paid.
Get nothing.
It's a whole...
It sucks. And some people say, well, they're getting a free education. Like, motherfucker, education should be free for everybody. Think about it. I'm gonna say this. I don't know if it'll bite me in the ass, but if you're against free education in this country, you're not patriotic at all.
You're not an American.
You don't give a fuck about this country, because what's gonna lift a country up, dude? Having a dumber population or having a educated population? And when I talk about education, I'm not purely talking about the information you gather, because you could gather that information
online
without going to college. And this is coming from a guy that attempted to go to college and never finished. So take that with a grain of salt.
Same for me.
But what I'm saying is college teaches you more than just information. It teaches you how to accomplish things.
Network.
And network, which they never... I wish they would have told me that. I wish they would have told me, hey, when you go to college, you're not going there to learn American history. I mean, yes, you are. You're going to take that with you if you decide to get into a field that requires you to know the history of the United States. But the core reason people go to college is, one, to practice accomplishing things and following through with something, and to network. Because think about it, like if you surround yourself with people who are highly successful, and a lot of them are college educated, if they become your friends, they're going to get you to the places. They're going to open doors for you. That's the networking. Like, you want to surround yourself around successful people so they could help you, and then essentially you can help them back. That's what it is. That's how I interpret college.
It's one of the things that they do. I mean, there's
it's
a lot of
either,
but it's one of those things where I feel like people that are, 3-4 generations of college, they know, like, no, you're going to college because this. It's not just about the schooling. You could go to whatever school and learn. That's not the sure, some colleges will open doors, but it's about the people at that specific college. That family's been going. That's why they have all these tailgates and all these things, because these buildings are named after people that have been donating millions, because their whole family goes there.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things where, like, shouldn't school be free? Like, if you were setting up a society from scratch, of course, no killing, no nothing, no nothing.
Yeah.
Boom, bam, boom. Simple stuff, yes. But wouldn't free school, like, hey, so all right, where's the smart person? All right, you go teach all those kids. Like, where did that change? Maybe I should look into that. That's something I haven't looked into. Like, where did this for-profit schooling come from? Like,
I don't know, but if I had to guess, is when, well, we have a lot of, I don't know, dude. I guess, I don't know. If
I never thought about that, to be honest.
I have to guess, because I know the student loans are government-backed. They're government-backed, meaning the loans they'll never go bad. You know, because a lot of people don't know that school loans is the only debt you're not allowed to go bankrupt.
That's crazy.
That will follow you for the rest of your life. You have to pay.
You get a car, stop paying, and after 7 years, you file for bankruptcy, and after 7 years, it's not on your record no more.
Yeah.
You can buy a house, do the same thing, but student loan?
Yeah, and things are getting worse because, you know, there's a program that if you went into social services, whether you're a police officer or you go into the fire department or any other social services, like a government job or a county job, if you work there for 10 years, and you paid every payment for 10 years, they'll forgive the rest of your loan. The government will forgive the rest of your loan. Trump wants to get, well, I don't know about Trump. I think somebody in the administration wants to get rid of that, you know, essentially just anchoring us to the debt, you know. So it's messed up, man, and that all ties back to corruption. A
good way to put it is, if you're like between 18 and 25, go to the bank and try to get like a $10,000 loan. No, maybe a little more. Let's say 50s. You're an entrepreneur. You want to start a business. You want to do this. You have a great idea. You found your niche. You can make some money. Make some money for the bank because you're going to pay them interest. $50,000 loan. They'll be like, nope, you're too young. You don't know nothing about nothing. You can't get this loan. But sign up for school. Oh, $200,000 loan. Here you go. Isn't the crazy, thought process, the logic, I just don't see it. And like one of those things, you know, you talk to people, you hear about it. Like it's always been like that. It'll always be like that. And it's something that I will research myself just because I haven't before. You know, it's something I hadn't thought about. But I'll see when it started or why did it start for like for-profit schooling. I know about for-profit prisons. I know how that came about, but I just don't understand the school part. But
yeah, I'm pretty sure there's an answer for it, and I'm pretty sure I've heard it before. But I listened to so many. I've gathered so much information that I can't retain it all. That's over the years. Like I'm aware of it. If you ask me to explain it, there's no way in hell I'm gonna be able to.
That's a good problem to have. That's a good problem to have.
Yeah, like I said, I'm no expert. I wish I could have the information right here, right then, and we probably can if we go to our phones. We really could find.
I have my phone on silent. I'm learning these tricks just because on one of them it ringed. And it was kind of crazy. You know, you learn these things a lot. That's another mistake. And another thing I wanted to ask you is, what do you think? Okay, let me throw out some numbers real quick.
Yeah.
To the best of my knowledge, 2019, 72% of Americans believe in global warming. Only about 6% of the population are anti-vaxxers.
Yeah.
And what was the third one? Global warming, anti-vaxxers. And only about 4% are flat earthers. So it's 28% don't believe in climate change.
Yeah.
4% are flat earthers. And then the other anti-vaxxers. Which one do you think is worse for the country, for the general public, worldwide? Those numbers are strictly American. Yeah.
Worse? I would say the anti-vaxxers, because the U.S. isn't responsible for the worst pollution as far as climate change. I think it's China or India. So the climate change deniers, they do have an effect on climate, but I think anti-vaxxers have a more direct effect on us. So when we're talking about the country, I mean, you're bringing back your measles, all these diseases that you're putting other people at risk. Because if your kid's infected or prone to getting it, you're putting everybody else around you at risk. But I mean, I wonder if, let's say there's a kid with clear measles, and does the kid next to him that is vaccinated, does he have to worry about it?
He does.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Still, that's what the issue is.
Yeah, right.
Because he's not prone to it. Like, he's not going to hopefully not die. But
technically, there's still a possibility for him to get contract it, right?
Yeah, because exactly. If there were no issue, then they could just not be vaccinated, and they wouldn't have an issue on the rest of society.
Okay. Yeah, but so I would say anti-vaxxers are more because flat earthers. I mean,
it's a slippery slope, though. You get me? I think so.
Earthers,
because
how?
Okay. I love a good conspiracy theory. I know a lot of them. I've read a lot of them. I don't agree with a lot of them. But when you start believing that, like something that's been proven time and time again, 600 years ago they proved this. They thought it was flat.
Yeah.
Then they proved it was round.
Yeah.
So that is gone. And now you don't believe in science. What else don't you believe in?
That's what flat earthers is.
They don't believe in science.
I don't believe in science. I mean, I believe in science that I use.
No, of course.
Like the cell phone that I'm using to say the Earth is flat. Yeah, I get that science. I believe in that science. But that science over there, nah, I don't believe it.
The one thing I was saying, I think this goes more with the anti-vaxxers, but the whole CDC, like, they say don't eat raw chicken, so you don't eat raw chicken. Yeah. They say don't vaccinate your kids. Like, no, fuck you. How does that make sense? And the same thing with anti-vaxxers. Like, you check your phone to see if it's going to rain today, but those telescopes. I mean, I said telescopes. I can't believe I said telescope. Those satellites are up there, and yet they're like, no, it's flat. I mean, I think there's a good argument for each to be made, but I do agree that anti-vaxxers is the answer, not the correct answer, but I would lean that way.
Yeah.
But I just feel like it's a slippery slope in a sense. That's the beginning. Flat Earth. We haven't seen it yet. Just my own guess.
Do you think it's gonna gain any traction where it has an effect?
I really do. I do. So. Let me tell you why.
I think it's a little bit far. I think flat earthers are at the same level as like lizard people. There's lizard people.
No. see, because if it were just simple as that, but they're doing all these experiments. I'm gonna buy a rocket and like, what else are they gonna do? So it's good to question everything. I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. But now, what else are you gonna question?
Okay, so, but space travel, consumer space travel is gonna be a thing.
Yeah. SpaceX.
So, I think it's just a ticking timetable.
Time bomb.
Until they go away, the flat earthers.
But what could happen until then? Let's say on the.
But what can happen?
Like I don't know. I just feel like okay, what if they join movement with like the anti-vaxxers, and like they just I wish I had something to say like this is what's gonna happen next, but I don't.
Yeah.
But I never saw flat Earth coming.
Yeah.
Like 10 years ago, this was at least in my mind, there was non-existent. Nobody talked about this, and I don't know if everybody. I'm sure.
But the only reason it's a thing is because the public interest in it. That's it. The only reason it gained traction is because it's so ridiculous, and it's kind of funny, dude. It's kind of funny. I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of the flat earthers are just trolls. Like
I
Alex.
wish. No.
Dude, Alex,
okay.
Alex is a troll.
Let me tell you. Do you know the story about my homie? Not my homie. Okay, this is not my homie. Let me repeat. This is not my homie. This is my coworker. Did I tell you about my coworker, the flat earther?
No.
All right. So I started this job maybe 3-4 years ago. And, when you're new at a job, you kind of don't do anything. This was my first ever job with an hour lunch. I had always been used to the 30-minute lunch.
Yeah, so I started the hour lunch. It's a bit weird.
It's weird, right? You got too much time.
Too much time.
Yeah, no, you'll get used to it. You'll find what to do.
Yeah.
Okay. It's weird. So I got an hour lunch. It fucking kind of like, dude, what do I do? So I would eat my lunch, like whatever, and then I have like 40 minutes. I mean, I'm the type of guy that likes using the restroom while on the clock. I don't use my breaks or my lunch to use the restroom.
Of course not. Why would you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I started taking books to work. Just like I would use my phone, but you can only use your phone so much. So I started like I got to catch up with some reading. So I was reading I don't know what, but some space book about like Saturn.
Some space book.
No, yeah. It was about Saturn, and it was about like just how. In other galaxies, that's the size of a sun, which I just found crazy. Like it's not that big. It's big, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not a big. But it's a white dwarf, whatever. All right, so it's not really it's a star, but it's fucking a diminishing star, whatever. And they tell me, hey, dude, you're into that type of stuff? And I'm like, well, yeah, you know, I've always caught my interest type of thing. Not an expert, but I like, you know, I watch fucking the space launches and all that type of stuff. And they tell me, oh, you should talk to XX. And I'm like, why? And they're like, oh, dude, you'll love it. Just talk to him. And this was at the time where this thing wasn't huge, right? He introduced me to Flat Earth. Like, I got to know him, like, in the coming weeks, coming months. He started telling me, like, you believe that stuff? Because I have a few NASA shirts, you know, with a few space launches on the back. I'm a supporter, you know. I like this shit.
Yeah.
You believe that shit? And I would be like, what is there to believe? He'd be like, you think we went to the moon? And I would tell him, like, yeah. He's like, how? And I would explain it to him. Like, I don't know fucking all the rocket science behind it. But I would explain it to him. Like, he would tell me, you can't go straight up. And I told him, no, you can't. You go at an angle. The hard part isn't staying in space. It's getting into space. You know, when you're in that...
Yeah,
I think they call it zero gravity or whatever.
Get past the gravity.
You're in the atmosphere.
Gravitational pull is what keeps you here. Yeah.
So you're right there. Like, you're just floating, they say. Obviously, I've never been there. But I've read so much about it that I kind of have a good idea about it.
Yeah.
And I would explain this to him. He'd tell me, like, so have you ever been on a plane? I went to Berkeley as a kid. So I tell him, yes, I have. He goes, does it look round? I told him, yes, it does. And he says, it's the fishbowl lens. And I go, I don't know what that means. So he explained it to me. And I told him, well, okay. I don't know. I never heard about that. So I tell him, maybe it is. I'll look into it. I look into it. Bullshit. It's a fucking glass window. Like, okay, there's not that much into it. Like, it's a glass window. It doesn't put that on a car. It's not going to make it fucking round, dude.
It's not going to distort it.
Yeah, it's just a fucking window. Cool. Easily provable. Okay. So we're still talking, right? I hadn't looked into it yet. Tell me, have you ever been out, like, in the ocean? Have you ever fucking, like, been on a boat? I was like, yes, I have. I used to be... Remember I was in that sailing group in Kranz?
Oh, that's
yeah. So I went sailing to Catalina, like, for 2 years. So we would go on top.
That was only available to, like, what was it, those smart kids, right?
It was like a math program. I used to do, like, I never used that shit in my life. Either the teacher? Mr. Ukabagabuger. Miss Osborne. She was such a bitch, dude. I hope she's listening. She's such a bitch.
You shut your mouth about Miss Osborne.
She was terrible, dude. She was terrible.
You're terrible, Hector.
I am, but so was she.
No, you shut your mouth.
Have you ever used a protractor?
I never had her as a class.
I only had her for that program. She was such a bitch.
Really?
Yeah, even at that age, dude. I was like, this is not a nice person. Have you ever used a protractor?
Sounds like somebody was a snowflake.
No, hell no, dude. She was a bitch. Everybody hated her.
She was really hot.
No. Started bikinis and shit at that age, dude. I was like, what, 7th grader? You would be all over anything. And like, no. I was like, no.
That's true.
Okay.
I did see a mop one time that was pretty attractive.
She did have curly hair, curly frizzy hair.
Yeah.
Have you ever used a protractor?
A protractor, yes.
You have? Like, in the real world?
No. Okay,
exactly.
Okay, no.
So they use this for sailing. So that's the type of shit we did. That was a mad part of it, and we got the free trip out of it.
Oh, that's why I wasn't involved. That just sounds hella boring, dude.
Yeah, no, I mean, dude, it was fun. It was fun. And so he's like, have you ever been out in the middle of the ocean? I was like, obviously, between here and Catalina, it's not. But whatever, dude, you don't see like a curve either. People think you got to prove to them, and it's like a fucking cliff, and it's just falling out. Like, no, dude, it's like the horizon, and then it just ends. Like, have you ever gone that far? I'm like, no, have you? And his argument was like, it just goes on forever. And I told him, like, have you ever looked at a map? He goes, maps aren't real. Like, how would we know what they look like? I'm like, well, you see, like, how the fuck do we know, like, what this looks like? Like, so you believe Google Maps, but you don't believe a fucking map that was done 200 years ago? Like, they've updated this shit since then. You know that, right?
Yeah. Google Maps used the original.
Yeah.
Not really. They use satellites, but it matches up with the old maps. So.
It's a little distorted. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Because it's not perfect.
Of course not. Yeah.
But it's a model. It's a scale model. It's not scalable. I'm not saying it's scalable. I'm saying it's a scale model. And his biggest thing was, like, he grabbed, I forget, I think we had a tennis ball in there for some reason. He had a tennis ball. And he said, we're up here, right? I said, yeah. He goes, look. And he turned it around so slowly. Right now I'm turning my hand so Izzy could see, but you guys can't. And, like, we're on top now, and now we're on the bottom. He goes, if we were down here, dude, we would just fall off. What do you have to say about that? And I told him, gravity.
Gravity.
And he's like, you believe in gravity? And that's why, I was asking you in the car. I even said, shut up, Hector, don't ask this. After I had asked, I asked you, what have you seen behind the curve? Because, they don't believe in gravity. And I said, how do you not believe in gravity? And if you ever asked, I don't even want to call them, what do they call flat earthers? A person that doesn't believe in logic, they say they are less dense than air. That's why they come back down, which I don't think makes any sense.
They are less dense
than air. So they come down. You know how, like, when you put a rubber ducky in the bathtub, it floats because it's less dense, it goes up? Them being less dense brings them back down. That's what I said.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So the thing is, they word it in such a fucking brilliant way where it
tricks them.
It's like, I'm not intelligent by any means, any way, shape, or form. I just like to read and I like to be informed about stuff. Let's establish that fact. The average person hears a well-spoken person, you're going to believe what they're saying because they write it, they read it, they say it in an eloquent way where you're just like, this person knows what he's talking about. And that's what all the big guys in Flat Earth do. They speak with such authority. I've seen them. I've seen these videos. I've seen these YouTube channels. They speak with authority like, If they were logically speaking, they'd make great public speakers. But they're so caught up in their little movement that they just talk nonsense.
Yeah.
And then the fact that the way they do it so well, they get a following.
So you think people, a lot of people are easily fooled by just a very good presenter? Is that what you're saying?
Trump's president.
Okay. Yeah. Checkmate.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I guess. Even though. No.
Look at all these. Let's not even get into the churches. We've had a couple beers. We're going to be rude. We'll talk into another time. Anything else you want to?
No, man.
Man, this has been good. So I don't want to make it go on longer just for the sake of going on longer.
Yeah.
So
I doubt many people are going to get this far.
No, they are, dude. This has been fun. Thank you for coming on. Anything you want to share before?
And I know you probably prepped me on this, but nah, man, just just try to gather as much information and do your verification, whatever verification process you have for yourself. Just make sure you look into it, man. Don't believe everything you hear, especially on the mainstream media. I'm not saying the mainstream media is always wrong, but the mainstream
they have their own agenda.
They're a corporation. Their number one goal isn't to inform us. Their number one goal is to make money.
All right.
So
that's good.
Yeah.
And one last thing before we finish off. Like I said a little earlier, this isn't a self-help podcast, but just so I have a theme or something to go off of, some words of advice. It could be professional, business, fucking social, romantic. Somebody told me you should ask for romantic advice. I said, it's a little weird, but any advice you could give to, not me, the listener, just be like, hey, man.
I guess don't take things too seriously as far as personal issues, because one thing I've noticed is that some people that I know, they get overwhelmed with issues that aren't really issues. So just remember, don't get stuck in that trap of over exaggerating issues. Don't let that consume you. You could bring up issues without getting over consumed with it. I mean, the one thing I like to do, I like talking about controversial issues, but people don't like talking about controversial issues. The reason why I like talking about controversial issues is because I don't take it home with me. It's something that exists. I like exploring those thoughts. And often that gets a bad rap. So, don't take things too seriously in that aspect. Obviously, there's some things that you have to take seriously as far as like health.
Of course.
Just, I don't know. I just thought maybe later in another episode I'll have better advice. But right
no.
Honestly, I don't know what the fuck to say.
Yeah, so no, it's fine, dude. Yeah.
Relax.
Live a little.
Live Yeah, live a little, man. Just chill.
All right, man.
So,
as always, man. Pleasure to see you. But thank you for coming on. I know it's a little weird. It's a little weird. Like, hey, man, want to come on this podcast?
I was surprised we went this long.
Yeah. Hour 20.
Damn, nice.
Thank you for coming on, dude. Love you. You're like a brother.
You,
all right, man. Let's end this. Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.